right, so what's cool about these is that, in a way, they're there to replace whole chords to a degree, but they don't literally need to replace the entirety of those chords. Sometimes it just kind of like gives you the impression. So here, this, at first glance, if you look at that triad, it kind of looks like it would be replacing a B minor. But in reality, it's really a kind of an extended D, which is kind of cool. And so that, I think that's what gives it energy and gives it a little bit more interest, that it sort of is a kind of a floating note that makes sense in the context of what's going on there. Similarly, if we look at a nice other very cool mix and matcher would be the Party in the USA tune there. So it's a B-rooted triad. Then we're coming off, which I guess could be, again, this little fragment. It could just be a modified version of that chord, or it could be, representing this E-rooted, but really it's just kind of coming off for a moment in time, adding that octave into it, and then landing on this very cool G-rooted chord here, minor. And whenever you see that shape, that is a portion of that. So that is the upper few strings of what would be a fully articulated minor bar chord. So whenever you see this, look where your G is, and then picture where your root would be. Skip a string, drop back a whole step. There's my root. Okay, and so here we have this. That would be, and then moves back to another G-rooted chord. This time it's a major. Sounds way cooler in this triad form. It's very, very tasteful. Awesome. Goes with that nice fat lower riff there. Very cool. And you never forget it. When you hear it, it brings you right into it. Oh, there it is. And they play it a lot in that song, and it never gets old to my ears. But then again, if you like it, you're going to like hearing it a lot. There's another one. Let's see, what else did we do? How about that little Earth, Wind, and Fire. Whoops, we'll get it. So that one has a G-rooted minor, G-rooted major, another G-rooted major, and then, so if you were to play that, that's, and it just gives it such greater movement that those little stabs, I think that's, a signature sound that kind of plays off of the rest of the masterful orchestration of that song. That's such a cool song. And there's a lot going on there. I think, that might even be the string arrangement of what you're hearing, but I just picked that out because I thought it had, some potential as far as that goes. And then you got the... So that one, those are all B-rooted there. And so again, that's sort of DQ'd, but I thought it had such a beautiful movement to it. And that one, it foils so perfectly for that, very awesome, tasty lead. Not doing that right, but somehow I couldn't quite grab the essence. All right, but win some, you lose some. So that's a cool one, using that pentatonic major behind there. Almost sounds, when they do it, and they do it well, kind of almondsy, which is very, very neat. And then the last one I threw in there was just sort of like a wild card. That's one that I just always love the sound of. That Knock on Wood is such an awesome, amazing song. And that one is those little pops coming through in between the horn section. It's just so effective. It's like, how else are you going to, assert yourself in the mix? Okay, so what we have happening there is a B rooted, and then A rooted, G rooted minor, A rooted major. And so... yeah, big respect to the ska guitar players. You got to be really triad genius people, who see the world in those, occupy those spaces. Very cool. So I think we hit them all. The big idea here is get to know your G rooted and get to know where the implied octaves are. That'll help you, choose where to play them. Try to walk your way through major scales with that, walk your way up using your G rooted. Triads. So have some fun with that. Try and sub out a progression, build a progression, and then see if it fits with those. But I think what's kind of like the secret weapon with the triad game is try and come up with different orientations where instead of just being chained to one shape, because the most effective uses, some of the more effective uses in those examples is that they're not always, moving around and just doing what would be the bottom of one of those chords. That they're sacrificing some of that, maybe total accuracy, but gaining interesting effects when they're just kind of noodling on it a little bit. So if I was to do that, what I was just doing, which was a E minor, B minor, there's my implied root there, and then D major, I could try and find that in different spaces. So I could do my E minor here if I wanted it to, or I could do it here, right, or there. So far, I think that's a cool grip. So I could do. And then I like that. Or because that's actually more natural. So you can find these little, then you can focus more on what your right hand is doing. Like if you, I don't know. No plan there. Just trying to say, you could pull out these other grips. This is an E rooted meets a B rooted, and then lands on an E rooted again. There's my E. Experiment with it. Move those babies around, see what works, and I guess the goal, the homework would be at least do something that is partially G rooted. Trying to find things that are interesting and that are maybe inversions also that have their own little. Sometimes you can get a little chromatic passage where the one grip lines up, like I have here, like this little line cliche there, which I think is kind of cool. All right, I'm gonna leave it on that note. Good luck. Have fun. See you on the next one.